Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Hope you're doing well. It is definitely not Tuesday, Thursday, December 4th, 2025. It is literally, the clock just struck 12 p.m. on the dot. Yeah. So let's see what we got here really quickly. I do have a message. Okay. So quickly, I'm trying to get this out quickly. Apparently there's about to be the likes of a missile attack of truth to hit an auric field. I don't know if it's your auric field, if we're talking intimately, personally, or we're talking more collectively, maybe even nationally. I don't know how this gets to play out. I have a feeling that it's going to be a little bit of both, because what may be impactful on a larger scale might also trickle down to a more personal scale. But the way that I was seeing it is that, like, it looked like, a series of attacks, but because of the rapid continuance, or rapid fire, I guess I should say, of truth, meaning like things just being unveiled one after another, after another, after another, and so many things, like maybe illusions being blown up or dispelled or whatever, the impact of it will be the nature of an atomic bomb. So ultimately, it'll be like it's like an atomic bomb of truth is being dropped, but it's by way of like small or individual firings, if that makes sense. I know it sounds really kind of violent, kind of aggressive, but when we're talking about truth here, I mean, the truth is only really violent or aggressive against an illusion, and if you are walking in the way of truth, seeking truth, living in your own truth, then although it could be shocking, it may be a jolt to the senses, perhaps, or a shake up to your reality. It most likely won't be as much of a harmful impact to you personally as it is to just whatever lies or illusions, delusions, or misunderstandings, perhaps that may be lingering in your life. And so I got that during the pre-shuffle, right? And I definitely absorbed it, like, that's definitely something worth saying. But then when I got ready to actually record just now, I was like, oh snap, it is the full moon in Gemini today. Actually today, later on this evening. So that's probably a huge connection, with, Gemini definitely being a truth teller as well, having their own reputation and characteristics for being keepers of knowledge, for sure, like almost collectors in a sense of information, but certainly being projectors of it, or would I say conductors of it? It's like they store that. Oftentimes they store a lot of information, and it comes out, at times, like unsuspecting times, So I don't know exactly how that all aligns, but we're in Sagittarius season, first of all, having a full moon in Gemini. So those two sister signs aligned for the common cause of truth revelation and truth telling. Ain't no telling. Ain't no telling what could be revealed, unleashed, released, exposed. I would just say, like I said, if you're walking in the way of truth, you should welcome the experience. I mean, what else can you do? You certainly can't resist it, whether you are walking in truth or not. It's happening. You can't resist it any more than you could prevent a missile attack or an atomic bomb release, you know, by your mere might. You know, once this is something that has been decreed, or what's the right word, like when, like a military call, so to speak, like it's something that's been I can't think of the term, but like when declared, maybe declared on from a higher authority, you know, higher rank perhaps, than anyone on earth, you know, or from a high rank. I don't know, like it could even have been called in by you, you know, as a truth seeker, or a champion of truth. Perhaps that resonance in itself has been the beacon for this this declaration, you know, whatever it is and however it's coming. So it could be a very much so co-creative experience, but given that it is from, you know, it's a deployment, if you will, from a high rank, it's unstoppable at this point. It's like the call has already been established. It's already been decided, declared, and nothing really, it's already in motion, you know, is what it's given. All right. So with that being said, I'm just going to go right into it. I already had cut the cards. I don't know what's on the bottom. Let's just see where we are, nice and fresh. Ace of Pentacles. It looks like that bomb, though, in a way, but it's the Pentacles. But yeah, something's being dispensed, you know, and it's big, it's major, and it looks like it's positive, you know. It has a great deal of promise and prosperity attached to it, or it is, in fact, maybe an explosion of prosperity. What the hell? Something on the roof? I know y'all heard that scraping. It's frantic. The Page of Pentacles. Something being passed down. I don't know, that Page of Pentacles has been hitting strangely these days. Like, I don't know, like sometimes it feels upright, sometimes it's questionable. Like, it's definitely a dependent presence where it may be coming to say something or speak something, maybe an apology, flattery, some type of sentimental expression. I don't know, but there's something that is expected in return, though, for it. Okay. So it could be the ulterior motive of these, you know, for those that are receptive to this great dispensation of fortune in the earth, you know, whatever this is materializing itself to be. It's like there is someone already in position to almost like a need, like beg or plead or be needy, or, you know, like already geared up to come and ask, maybe even with a sob story or some type, again, like something sentimental or emotional that they would want to lead with to garner sympathy, maybe even to garner some type of charity or handout. And it may or may not be valid, you know, but I just don't like the immediate presence of the Page of Cups in the way that I'm speaking of it right after the Ace of Pentacles. It's like almost an anticipation of this dispensation, like ready to pull up, you know, at a moment's notice, almost watching for it. Like, soon as they get that money, I'm gonna be right there, like, you know, I always loved you and I've been missing you. And, you know, I've been going through a hard time over there without you. And I just really would love it if we could reconnect. And, you know, they'll lead with the emotional aspect first, you know, to soften the heart, to pull on the heartstrings, to soften the reception. Again, to draw sympathy or compassion in some way, some type of emotional attachment. But ultimately, the eye is on the prize of whatever this Ace of Pentacles is. Yeah. It don't feel good to me. What was that? Just so I can say. Yeah, there's the that was the attack that I saw, or the missile launch that I saw, but it was with the Strength card, which is what gave me the inflection of it being like an atomic explosion. When you got the strength behind such a rapid fire attack, it has much more, it makes a much greater impact than just like missiles on their own. It's something amplified about it. It's like life altering, you know, that's what it's given. But I feel like even leading with the Ace of Pentacles, the life altering aspect, as I've said, for those that are in alignment, is not a detriment. It's like something life altering that might even be, you know, the initiation of whatever this absolute transfer of wealth and power and fortune is destined to be, you know, what it was designed to be. And when that hits, it's going to really, like, you know, tip the scales in the favor of those, again, that have been in alignment for it, and in a much more disparaging way for those that have been out of order, you know, or out of alignment in some way, or whatever it is that's been happening, you know, on that other side of the spectrum, has to be rectified and balanced and accounted for in an equal opposite type of way. So, yeah. So, let's see. That was the Hermit. Strength again. Oh my goodness. I was getting like there's power in silence coming off of that peak of the Hermit card. I don't know, like for some reason I'm getting something about, I mean, with the Hermit, I'm getting, you know, that energy of kind of being, of being like secluded or in in solitude, which may be the resolve of those that are coming into some great fortune or advantage or opportunity. It may be in the best interest of those to conserve their energy, you know, even conserve their presence from certain spaces and places and people. There may be an impulse to relocate, to change, you know, to what's the right word, like unlist your information, you know, or maybe just to, again, just kind of be in your own space and solitude for protective purposes, and also for preservation purposes, if for nothing else, just preservations of your peace, you know, from what could be like a stampede or a parade or an influx of solicitors, let's say, whatever they may be, by way of the Page of Cups. It could all seem very innocent and non-aggressive, unsuspecting, but ultimately there are ulterior motives that are at play. So again, with the Strength card, it might be wise to create strong boundaries within that sacred space that you create, whether it's your home or whatever it is that creates security for you, maybe even just in your mind space, almost preparing yourself for this influx, to be firm in your response, or in, as my phone goes off at 12:16, to be firm in your position, you know, like being very clear about who and what you share with, and not being easily persuaded to overgive. You know, there's nothing wrong with giving, nothing wrong with benevolence. Charity is the highest expression of love, you know, that there possibly can, of power, really, that there can be, but all within reason and within with discernment, you know. And sometimes that calls to be a little bit more firm in your boundaries and in your convictions. There it is, your convictions, than you would even like to be. You know, like recognizing that everyone that has a handout, or even everyone that you see that you might pass, you know, you might, everyone that you might encounter in passing is not necessarily assigned to be a benefactor of what you have or what you do, or, you know, what you offer. It's just, that's just not what it is. First of all, you'll exhaust yourself trying to be everything for everyone, and then you'll exhaust your resources to the point where those that you are assigned to bless, to benefit, to align with, invest in, may be shortchanged on account of how you spread yourself thin before you made that divine connection, you know, or that that designated exchange, you know. 3 of Cups, there's something to be celebrated here nonetheless, you know. It's the holidays, for whatever it's worth to whomever it's worth. Which also, as I've said before, often invokes the spirit of giving that much more, you know. Even spending on self, or spending in general, is just the magic of the season that makes us a little bit more benevolent than we typically are. So I would just say a caution. I mean, this is not absolute, but because I feel this in the upright for sure. but I just sense a caution in a caution against those that are ultimately celebrating your win as their win unjustifiably, like already preparing, like got their cups ready, like I said, ready to pull up. This is premeditated, ready to pull up and somehow glean from whatever advantage or privilege, again, fortune, that is being dispersed. Almost like a sense of entitlement is what I say. Like, yeah, we won. We just came up. We out the hood now. Like people that are already sitting somewhere, or will, on account of your win, already see themselves as beneficiaries of that fortune in some way, shape, or form. Now, for those where it's inclusive, that clearly are in alignment to be blessed as you are blessed, it's all fair game. Yeah, let's all toast, let's all celebrate, cheers, But it's giving something strange to me. I don't know. Like, even with upright cards, as you may or may not know, like, I feel the energy, and I feel guided to say that you wouldn't be overreacting, perhaps, or out of order to already begin to prepare yourself again to be firm in your position and in your convictions, because there's a sense of entitlement, a spirit of entitlement that I feel here, of even dependency, that someone or someones are feeling like because you got it, or when you got it, they got it. Just leave putting that there, and you'll know how to navigate that as it comes up. Four of Pentacles kind of slid over in the struggle a little bit. This might be the consideration of what to hold on to and what to release. Like what to conserve, what to be particularly conservative is the strongest word I hear. Like what to be conservative of, or what principle to be conservative on. Again, a nod to that strong boundary aspect. And with this, to me, with the Four of Pentacles, it's really on account of the fact that whatever this disbursement or dispensation is, has a purpose. Whatever it is for a purpose. And so if you just go around just blowing it on anything and anyone, is like I said before, then you miss the assignment attached to that dispensation. And then people that are in alignment to be affected properly may not be. So it's really about being very responsible and conservative with your, in some ways, either a newfound experience of abundance, or a windfall of abundance, something that could be coming at such a magnitude. Maybe that is also like I was saying, like the visual of there being like an atomic bomb, or just like rapid fire. With the Eight of Wands, most of the time, that's good energy, and then with the Strength card, like I said, depending on what you're in alignment for, you might be happy to see all these wins coming your way, like just win after win after win, or windfall after windfall after windfall. Like you get a lucky break for a windfall of money. You get a big break in your creativity or your personal business, and you get maybe a windfall in partnership, or whether it be platonic, professional, creative, or intimate. It could come in like so many different forms, that now require you to manage a portfolio that is multi-dimensional, literally and figuratively. So that Four of Pentacles, so where other people might be looking at you from the outside in, like, oh, she got it, he got it, he can spare it, meanwhile, you already know that what you have in possession is almost already accounted for, or there has to be conservatism of those resources, maybe even for the purposes of the future, which is beyond what anybody in this position at the Three of Cups or the Page of Cups would be considering. It's more of a right now immediate gratification, but you already got a 10-year, 20-year, 30-year outlook on how this provision can not only last but be multiplied, so that's why I'm feeling guided to really say, to unapologetically hold fast to your convictions on what you feel led to do with your fortune, whatever that is, in whatever form it comes, because you're the one that carries the responsibility when it all comes down to it, to make sure that all bases are covered. It's now you're the steward of this treasure or this fortune or whatever it is. Could even be like some type of inheritance or estate or something like that, that now it's like a blessing, but it's also a great responsibility on your shoulders, because now you're the one that has to manage it and make sure that it doesn't get depleted prematurely or frivolously, and even more than that, that you can multiply it. This is like a seed that you can multiply, so that for those that are in alignment with this reception, it's not just a matter of a quick party or immediate gratification. We're talking about generational abundance here. And that just doesn't happen by consuming. That happens by creating and investing wisely. So I was just about to say this, I swear. I was about to say you might have to administer some strong no's where you wish you could say otherwise. And that's what this Two of Swords is giving me. I swear I was about to say that. You might really have to be like, I'm sorry, but I can't right now, or it's not a good investment for me, or this isn't a good time. And the pushback might definitely be, again, that emotional, not all of it is manipulation. What's the right word? Solicitation, let's say. That emotional solicitation, or that even sometimes, could even be like a good business plan, or a good, in most cases, like a good idea or something, that somebody is like, I got the perfect thing for you to invest in. I got this great idea for a business or whatever. But the projections don't really suit what you're in the market for, or they don't suit your portfolio, again, or, that it just doesn't make sense to you. And you would want to be a yes for someone, and to be that angel investor in some cases, so to speak, that is able to kind of turn somebody's life around. But again, it has to come with great discernment and strong decision making, that is not so emotional and not so emotionally invested and attached, unfortunately. In many cases, not in all cases, but in many cases. because when you lead with emotion almost exclusively, it's there, you're almost bound to make some poor investments, or to make investments sometimes even that you know are not going to yield much of a return, or be well placed, but because you love the person and you want to see them thrive, or sometimes even feeling the guilt of the concept of a you got it, you can afford it type of thing, will kind of like persuade you to make moves professionally, particularly, that are not healthy, that are not healthy. So you're gonna have to get ready to really put a strong armor on if you haven't already. Let me get one more. I'm gonna keep this short today. Real short and sweet. Oh, look at this, the Nine of Swords. I thought a card may have flipped over, but it didn't. Nine of Swords. Yeah, because some people might actually, what's that? The Knight of Pentacles, an offer. Yeah. Oh. And I already know that the Knight of Swords is under there, so the Nine of Swords is under there, so I'm going to cut it so it's not the last. So I can see some fresh energy on the bottom. But the Moon card, the Nine of Swords is some folks that may have some hurt feelings, or maybe on account of you being in stewardship of a certain fortune or favor or privilege, and anticipating that they're going to be kept out, or the odd man out, or at a loss for something. But also it could be the aftermath of those that you have to turn away or refuse in some way, shape, or form, turn down maybe, like still maintaining that grounded conviction where it's necessary, because it could be heartfelt to witness those kind of be in some type of like despair or disappointment even, about what they feel you should or could do for them, and what you are not able to be in agreement with for whatever reason. Like it can be hard, like, again, that guilt factor, to be like, damn, maybe I should just do it, or maybe whatever. But I would say that usually your first instinct or conviction about it, I feel like your conviction comes more so by way of really being mindful and logical about all aspects of it, the emotional side, the investment piece, the outcome, the result of it all, what, really considering what there is to gain, whether it be for you directly or just overall, like what value, whatever you're aligning yourself with, truly will have. And sometimes it might not be a direct value to you, but if you see the value overall for creation, or for a community or a collective or whatever, that would be infused in the conviction aspect of it all. But really sticking to that once it's been affirmed for you, and not being so apologetic about the backlash or the resistance, the pushback against that. And then here we have the Moon card, because this could be things that you don't see, whether it be hidden details or aspects of a thing that haven't been unveiled or unfolded yet, or inevitable things that you might not be able to see in a blind spot, because perhaps maybe it's an emotional decision, or again, it's being presented by those that have ulterior motives that you may or may not know about, or that may not be presented on the forefront, but there's something in you that feels that conviction, like, nah, I don't think this is right, but you go against it anyway. This is the pitfall that, you could find yourself in, just on account of, blindly investing in things, or emotionally investing in things or people or places, in a capacity that's unfounded or not grounded. And again, this could be a fear or a dark aspect that could manifest itself after the fact. One of those things that will make you say, I knew I should have listened to myself, or I knew what my spirit was telling me to do, and I didn't follow, or I knew this wouldn't be a good idea for me, or a good investment to make, or a chance to take, whatever. But it'll be too late. The aftermath would have already manifested, or crystallized, or whatever. So we don't want to be a product of an afterthought, or a shoulda, coulda, woulda, when you can be strong and affirmed in your convictions on the forefront, proactively or reactively, to any proposition or offer before it has to be a detriment, because at that point, nobody, again, the responsibility and accountability is on you. So at the point of the detriment, that's also on you. It won't be nobody to blame or nobody to shoulder that pressure. Hierophant, interesting. All right, let's see what else. Oh, and the Ten of Cups. Wow, because this is like what you're guarding over. Wow, like there's the generational inheritance, so to speak, too, as well. Like, it's not the Pentacles, but it's, in this case, it's better than the Pentacles, because it's like preserving like a sacred trust is what I'm getting, where there could be financial affluence and abundance in this, for sure. But what's even more sustainable and eternal is like this spirit of fulfillment that gets passed down generationally. No matter what you're doing, no matter how much money you have in the bank, no matter how what your portfolio looks like, and no matter what you where you live, or how you invest your time and energy day to day, it's like there's always this sense of fulfillment and wholeness and completion that money can't even buy. The currency could change 5 times in your lifetime, and there still would be this resonance of peace and happiness and joy, and wholeness. And that is the gift that keeps on giving, again, from generation to generation. And I do feel like it's on account of this very material seed, or even the truth that I said before, like some revelation, maybe even a bright idea, or a clarity about something that comes to surface in a 3-dimensional way, that is the seed that gets to ultimately bloom such a fortune, by way of financial security, stocks and bonds, whatever that even amounts to be, moving forward. Well managed investments and portfolios, property, estates that are well taken care of and well managed, like brilliant ideas that continue to bloom generation to generation, where there is always this sense of security to secure your own sense of happiness without necessarily being dependent. You know, like that's a blessing for a bloodline to have, where sometimes you have like rich bloodlines that just, again, groom and breed entitlement and dependency, because there's always this sense of, I'll get it from dad, or I'll get it from mom, or it's owed to me, it's coming to me, and money gets passed down to generations that don't really, know what to do with it, let alone how to multiply it or magnify it, and don't really have a sense of gratitude for what they're receiving either. I feel like this 10 of Cups is like all of that. It's like a happier, more fluid life, where your dependents or your descendants are in a spirit of gratitude for the privilege that they inherit, one way or another, in spirit or in truth. But they also are, what's also instilled in them is this vibration of independence and like a strength and security and confidence in what they can bring to the legacy and how they can advance it in their own right productively. That's amazing. That's amazing. Like I said, that can't be bought. I don't even know if it can't be taught. I feel like that's something that, again, is almost like an inheritance, like a divine inheritance that gets to be passed down, because otherwise you could have a rich family and they can teach everybody the business or the family way, and the generation after, or many times over, can still completely trash the legacy or squander it. But for almost there to be like an infusion of this, I think I said a sacred trust, like this infusion of like sanctity, holiness, righteousness that gets passed down, like in a practical sense, like this supreme sense of pride in a good way, and self-esteem and charity. There it is, like the spirit of charity and benevolence that is pure, so that every generation that comes after is looking to make the legacy, advance the legacy that much more, and also to make the world, or at least their little corner of it, that much better than how they found it, with whatever their creative endeavors or ambitions may be. That is a blessed legacy indeed, and a blissed one as well, by the 10 of Cups. That's blissfulness for sure. Wow, that's beautiful. So as you can see, there's a lot to be protective of there, and this is the energy that you can't even really, there's no true evidence for this yet. This is something yet to unfold. So this is why it's important that I keep stressing how convicted and how strong and firm in your convictions you get to be in this season, because this is what you're securing for an eternity. You're laying the framework, the cornerstone for what gets to be an eternal legacy of love. And that's no small feat. Some might say it's a blessing and a burden, but I err more on the blessing aspect. But in terms of the pressure to be maybe even out of character in your protection for it, in this present moment, it's not really clear as to why you may, again, this unknown aspect as to why you may need to be so firm. But here is a glimpse of the future. Here is the projection of why you have to be, in this case, very intentional about covering this gift and governing this gift with the utmost highest intentions and responsibility. And this is why you've been entrusted to do so. Again, from a higher rank, from a higher position of authority, someone said that you would be the right man or woman for the job. And so all you have to do is just be that righteous man or woman. Indeed. Wow. I feel like there's so much deeper I could go into the Hierophant and the Ten of Cups, but it's just a truly, truly blessed legacy under a divine covenant. Congratulations on the favor and fortune of it all, and the privilege and honor to be the steward of such a magnificent gift. You're gonna do great. You already are if you've been ordained. So just keep being and doing what you are, so that the legacies to follow will always have this available to them by the sacrifices and submissions that you're making right now. Wow. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.